Right guys, we're going to do another quick talk now on, not as long or as technical as the last one, you'll be pleased to know. It's a little bit about looking about outreach, taking our hobby and taking it to people in effect in other places. We're looking a little bit about why one might do that, who you might do it with, and how you might go about that, and a little bit of experience I've had from doing it so far. There's a few people in the room I know have done some stuff. I know Steve's done quite a lot of stuff with various local schools, I think, and a few other people. And I know the CUSF guys have done. I'm not sure what they're doing. So, why would one go about doing this? Well, I got quite a lot out of my science teachers at school, and I still know two of them now to this day, both of them retired. I also have a feeling that science is sort of failing our kids a little bit at the moment. It's all health and safety's gone mad, so you can't do any exciting stuff anymore. I used to remember throwing bits of we got a science teacher, I might say that before we start actually, in the room, Steve, who I've actually worked with at Boston Spa School, and you'll see later on in his presentation. But there's a lot of, I think science has got a little bit boring at school. A lot of exciting things you used to be able to do, like boiling bits of mercury around in your hands and stuff like that, is all banned now. There is reasons behind that, I'm sure, but I never know anyone's come to any harm with just putting their finger once in a bit of mercury and just feeling it. Well, you think mercury amalgam fillings, they shove it in your mouth and push bits of it out and all the rest of it, so I think...
It just takes 40 years for you to go out.
Oh, probably that's, I'm 40 this year, so...
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, I think in some ways science is failing our kids, and one thing about this is you take this into a school, it really gets kids going like nothing else on earth. If they think they can actually do a little project or something like that, they could actually bring back pictures like we managed to achieve, and they go back to their parents and say, hey, we're going to take some pictures from space. Parents don't believe it, and it just gives them something to look forward to, and the sort of interest you get from that is amazing. Like I said, the kids love it, and indeed the dads love it. The wives, or at least my wife, is not overly enthusiastic, and judging by the amount of females we've got here today, it's also not particularly a highly female hobby. So, there isn't a monster. So anyway, is anyone females on ILC? I can't think there is there? No. So definitely we're a bit of a male geeky hobby here, there's no doubt about it. So, who's been interested? Well, I've already mentioned the schools, and I've had quite a lot of phone calls from various schools. I've had kids phone me up from schools saying we're interested in doing this, and I've sent quite a bit of stuff down to Portsmouth, to a school called Springfield School down there. And they have a lot of enthusiasm for this stuff, but they don't really realise how much time it's going to take up, and the whole idea of it is a lot more. They're not happy with the idea of actually getting down and getting to grips with actually building some stuff and then having to seek permissions and all that stuff. So I do think it does need to be managed. If someone contacts you and you're interested in helping out stuff like that, bear in mind you're going to have to manage this process all the way through to completion. It's no point saying, yeah, I'll send you the kit down, you guys get on with it, all the best, and you won't hear from them again. Chances are nothing will happen, and that's probably one thing I've learned, is you're really going to have to be committed to manage it to the end. The Springfield School, because it's down in Portsmouth, clearly I live in Leeds, well not clearly I live in Leeds, but I do live in Leeds, and travelling all the way down to Portsmouth wasn't an option, so we had quite a few Sky concessions, and in the afternoons, Tuesday afternoons from work, I used to take a late lunch, and from 3 o'clock till 4 o'clock I used to spend an hour talking to the guys down there. They got quite well in terms of building payloads and stuff like that, and I would suggest that schools can do that quite easily, the polystyrene bit and getting the cameras and putting them in there. Tracking and building their own trackers is probably outside of the scope of many people, unless they've got like a nice electronics group there. We're going to talk a little bit later, aren't we, about the entrance into having and building. Yeah, we're running a little bit. The other people I have done, ham radio clubs are quite interesting, certainly doing the talks, like I've had some of the talks done today. I've been to quite a few talks with the ham radio clubs, to actually getting them to actually do or produce anything seems unlikely, and the same with the scouts, they're quite interested in seeing the pictures, they like to hear the stories, but actually producing anything seems limited. Another thing which we've got involved with is the National Science and Learning Centre, and this is again with Steve. Do we inquire with them? They came and inquired of us, didn't they, I think, originally? guy called
I went on a course as a young white, wasn't it? And it was one of my,
oh, yeah, that's right, you mentioned it to him there.
thing for the course.
So they've actually asked, their National Science and Learning Centre is basically these sort of CPD, continual professional development for teachers, science teachers in the UK. And they're sort of, it's sort of a hub and wheel type of approach. And the main hub is based in York, am I right? I think they've got some splinter offices all around the UK, and science teachers go there for various CPD stuff. And one of the things they asked us if we would be interested in doing is running a 3-day course for teachers, science teachers who would be interested in doing this at school, and run through what's involved. So there'd be a bit of tracking, running around the fields, trying to find payloads, how you go about it, getting CAA approval. We need to iron out the insurance side of it. I mean, you're not only worried, are you, in terms of insurance? You reckon it's covered by your sort of, I'm a teacher, science teacher, if it goes wrong, somebody else will pay it out.
That's right.
And we will need to fathom that out, but at the moment it's highly likely in 2012 there will be a 3-day course for teachers who are interested in the UK and getting involved in doing this with their kids. We will provide some of that kit. Some of that funding comes from, I've got in contact with, well, the UK Space Agency, and they've chucked in £5,000 into a kitty to actually buy some kit, like radios and perhaps trackers and maybe some little EPCs, which we would then chuck that image on, most Daniel and et al. And Adam. We could take that image and whack it onto the system. They can use that for their tracking in effect. So we could maybe set up some payloads with I don't know, school experimental 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then they would go out with those payloads and it would all be set up on the system. They could run and do some tests on there. So we've got a bit of money kicking around for that. Oh, and another thing that's come up, which is sort of a bit of outreach stuff, is they've got this big school day going on at the Olympic Stadium, some sort of science day. And I got some contact makers through the UK Space Agency saying, will we be interested in doing a balloon launch from the Olympic Stadium? It was about 2 weeks before the Olympics start. And that looks like it could be interesting, if nothing else. A few 100,000 kids kicking around the place. I don't know, I think they're going to sort of ship school kids in. I don't know if you've heard anything about that.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, ship school kids in by the busload, particularly. Probably test out all the escape routes and everything else out of the Olympic Stadium and try it on the school kids first and see how well it works. So that was quite interesting as well. So that's the who. How you might go about this? Like I said, already said, there is some problems with the skill sets there. I would strongly suggest, unless you're working with A-level electronic students, you can really forget about them ever building their own sort of tracking device. That isn't going to happen. Most of the skills are the CDT stuff. Most people are happy to either build the polystyrene blocks, fit the cameras. I think programming the cameras with CHDK, that's certainly within the bounds, isn't it? You've done that stuff. You took control of that mainly, though, didn't you?
Yeah.
In your school.
Yeah.
But I can't see that being beyond the realms of a sort of bright 16-year-old kid.
We did it with 10-year-olds a few weeks ago, particularly one.
Yeah. Programming or just
programming doing 4 loops.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. So you've got to bear in mind basically what are the age groups you're actually going to work with when you're doing this, and also what level they are as well. I think because it varies, isn't it, within the schools. You're a specialist school, aren't you?
Right.
Doing lots of really cool science things. Experiments. There's different ways about going. What sort of experiment you might want to do. If the schools want really good bang for buck, you can get 3 or 4 schools involved, and you can come up with some experiments. I know, like CUSF guys, you did insulating teddy bears. Was that the separate schools or within 4 teams within one school?
That was within one science club at school.
Yeah, but you can actually split this up into 4 separate schools and have 4 schools involved, and they have a little competition to insulate. I know, say the teddy bear is quite a good example, or some other experiment where you sort of compete against each other. In that case, it was trying to insulate a teddy bear to keep it the warmest. It's the best spacesuit, wasn't it? Something like that. 4 temperature sensors in there, all well calibrated, so they all gave the same results, I'm sure. And you send that up, and the one that kept the teddy bear the warmest, in effect, won.
Yes.
And I think it was a thermos flask that won, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Good idea.
Quite cunning, nice and easy. Yeah, thermos flask. That's nice. And some consideration is going to about what you're going to do about the launch. It's probably the most convenient way of doing a launch is because you're very dependent on the weather. Rather than trying to ship kids up and get them there for the launch, I think you had some problems, or you got that sorted out, didn't you?
Well, we were lucky in that we were Cambridge and they were Cambridge, so it was easier. But yeah.
But bear that in mind, because one option is to feed the launch from a decent link and just send it in over the internet. Getting people attending it, once again, getting CAA approval. If you're going to do it at the school, you've got to make sure that you're not near some major runway takeoff point or anything else that's particularly exciting, airbase. But to be fair, we found no problems. Now, David Miller might be an awkward bastard for us to deal with, but when it comes to schools, straight in there. You've done, what, 2 launches there? 3 launches? 4, yeah?
4 now. Never had a problem.
Yeah, straight through. Yeah, no problem. It's a school. And we're not really that far away from being nice for
No, we're not.
So it's come up with some school names, so it's how you approach David Miller. Tracking and recovery, I don't think it's feasible to get people out on the tracking and recovery stuff, and not unless you've got a very small group and it's very niche. I mean, maybe you've got 2 or 3 people in an A-level group doing electronic stuff, and the other put an experiment on board maybe, but other than that I would strongly
I had them following in the van, so I was tracking, and they followed me in my van in the van with the kids.
Yeah, that worked.
And we went and got it in the field afterwards.
Did you know it was going to land in the field, or were you fairly confident it was going to be a field landing?
No, we just was going to take it wherever it landed.
So,
I mean, it down to the point where we would just said kids can't go, you know.
Sit about this way, yeah.
But fortunately, it landed next to a footpath.
We had the opposite data point, which was we had a minibus full of kids coming on the chase, and the transponder died at about 8,000 metres, and they were just pulling their hair out as a couple of us were trying to do direction finding. And
so it's not. Would you suggest? I would strongly suggest it's probably not worth doing that.
Yes.
Well,
I would.
Unless it's not gone ahead. Well, the first launch we did together was 7 miles from the school. That was quite easy to actually let the thing land in the field and then just drive over. I mean, it's unbelievably close and quite convenient, right in the middle of the field. But the second one was a bit more tricky, wasn't it? We spent the whole day on those nice floaters from Steve. It was those Howie balloons or whatever they were. We disappeared. We thought we were going. We went to Blackpool, didn't we?
We did.
From York to Blackpool, and more or less back again. Yes. And the other thing worth bearing in mind, you've got to do CRB checks and stuff like that if you do spend much time working in schools. We're getting a little bit more relaxed on that now, am I right thinking?
Yeah, they are. You still need them though. If you want to work in an environment where you're working with children, you will need CRB checks.
Criminal Record Bureau stuff, yeah, it's just, they're very keen on it. The first thing you sort of do is you walk through the law and say, you've got your CRB form with you, and you go, what?
With CRBs, you have to apply it, and it just takes a while to come back.
It does, yeah.
It's difficult, applying. It's just
no, the application is, you can do online, the application is, once, yeah, it is, yeah.
But if you want to go do this sort of stuff, you might as well get that out of the way before you even start, because it makes life so much easier. You can walk around the school without sort of having to be chaperoned everywhere.
Well, that's the only other alternative, is to have somebody with you the whole time you're in school.
All the time. And so, this is Steve Stinson. I didn't know if it was coming today, but anyway, this is our one. This is from Infinity 2011. This one that all went quite well. In fact, it sort of went well, but we've had a little camera issue, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
So we didn't get any pictures back from that one, but quite a keen team there. You probably know who they are. The girls in the posing bit.
Yeah, usual. Yeah, you've got all the way from there from year 11 right through to year 7 on the right hand side. That's Tom. So yeah, you've got a spread of age range there, and they all get involved. They all love it. They absolutely love it.
They do, don't they? So that's one thing, is seeing the kids, looks on the kids' faces and how much they enjoy it. Oh, that's a little bit about the National Science and Learning Centre. That's the one that's based up in York. And quite an interesting building, lots of resources in there. This is the CUSF space. So really, that's a little bit really on that. Basically, safety insurance, where the kids are concerned, you definitely do want to be thinking a lot more about safety, keeping them back a little bit. Have some fun things. I mean, definitely get some helium balloons, the little ones, and fill them up with helium and let them let go of it and stuff like that. It's quite a bit of fun. But probably steer clear of the hydrogen, for those that are feeling like they want to change. It's worth having the conversations before you start as well, for sure, about insurance and stuff like that. There's no point going all the way down this project, building something, and then everyone going, actually, do you know what, we don't want to let go of this because we're concerned about what would happen if it goes wrong. I think have those conversations right up front, right at the beginning. How do you feel about it? What happens if it does go wrong? Talk about some of the things that we've experienced over the years, and and just say that these things can happen. But if you're prepared to take all that on board, then go on with it and do it. There's no point cancelling it afterwards. And check out school's insurance, because is it your school insurance that covers your
school insurance? Zurich Insurance covers us. If you take kids out of school, you're going to have mishaps with kids, and so the insurance covers it.
It happens in the media regularly, doesn't it? You see you drown and die.
Just happens.
So yeah, have the conversation. But that's really what I want to say on outreach. Really good fun, really rewarding. It takes quite a bit of time to do it, and don't just. I would strongly advise just not giving loads of kit to people and expecting them to get on with it and doing it, because in reality that won't happen. It is a question of being committed enough to go out there and actually do some hands-on stuff with them as well. And that's it, really, on that.